So today's randomly generated album is The Wall by Pink Floyd, released in 1979. So most of these videos I've been releasing as shorts, but because this is such a mammoth album and it'd be next to impossible to edit this down to 3 minutes, I decided to post this as a full length. So just as a note, every day I listen to a different randomly generated album that appears in the book, 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. So you can check them out. They're posted as shorts, but I also have a playlist that's curated that'd be easy to follow to keep track of the different reviews that I've already done. So what to say about The Wall? Obviously a classic, epic album. It was a concept album, a rock opera, and then basically maybe we'll start a little bit with the concept. So it was based on a fictional rock star named Pink, who I guess you could say might have had like a bit of like a mental breakdown. He built this metaphorical wall around himself, which basically led to his isolation. So the character of Pink was partly based on Roger Waters' personal experiences, but it was also partly based on Sid Barrett, the original lead singer and main songwriter during the early days of Pink Floyd. So basically, Sid Barrett had mental health issues, and eventually he basically ended up isolating himself. So there's definitely some parallels there as well. So quite often when you're dealing with like rock operas and concept albums, there's always the danger that they potentially could be convoluted. And this teeters on it a little bit, but it's still a bit easier to follow than a lot of the concepts of rock operas. So I think for the most part, it succeeds. And part of the reason why it also succeeds is with rock operas, you can forgive a little bit of convolutedness if the songs are really good. And the songs on this album work really well as standalone songs. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's probably best to listen to the entire album sequence in order to get the full story because it does work well, obviously, as a cohesive whole because that's the way it's designed. But there's a number of really strong songs. The other potential issue with rock operas is they can be theatrical. And there are some moments on this, especially towards the end when you get to the trial. But once again, it works because the band's so effective at executing the concept and the songs are so good, you can forgive a little bit of the theatrics. So we'll get a bit more into the actual songs as well. And there's a number of like classic tunes on this album. So of course, one of the centerpieces is Another Brick in the Wall, which has three parts. And basically, each of these songs discuss different metaphorical bricks that Pink uses to construct that metaphorical wall. So the most well-known part of Another Brick in the Wall is, of course, Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. So that's the we don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. No dark sarcasm in the classroom. Teachers, leave your kids alone. Hey, teachers, leave our kids alone. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. Yeah, I just couldn't help myself. Sorry for the bad singing. So yeah, that's an important song and centerpiece of the album. And there's a number of other classic tunes on there as well. Like obviously Comfortably Numb, absolute classic and works as a standalone song. But also lyrically, it's very chilling as well. Like when individuals, like if you're all going through like a mental health crisis, or maybe not even a mental health crisis, another aspect of the album is just being overwhelmed, period. And some of that being overwhelmed could even be by events on both a personal and political level. So, for example, an important aspect of the story, which is based on Roger Waters' personal experience. Roger Waters' dad, and by extension, Pink's father, died in World War II. So there's some flashbacks to that in the song, and there is some flashbacks and allusions to the war within the album as well. But yeah, and also this album was recorded around the time of Cold War anxiety. So yeah, when we are overwhelmed with the events around us, either personal or on a more widespread social political level, sometimes we can become comfortably numb, and sometimes we even just desensitize ourselves or allow ourselves to be desensitized just as a way of dealing with the pain and anxiety. So yeah, that is a powerful song there. And another song I want to discuss is Mother. And this is another song that could work both on a personal and socio-political level. Like there's like the reference to Mother where they dropped the bomb, which once again I already mentioned, like the Cold War anxiety that was relevant at the time that the album was created. So yeah, the that song definitely does express social anxiety, but then also Pink's motto was a controlling smothering motto as well. So it worked in that context. So yeah, a number of these songs, even as standalone tracks, work on multiple levels. For example, this album, it well articulates those that maybe do go through social anxiety or struggle with mental health issues. It's very relatable that way. And there's a number of individuals as a coping mechanism. They build that metaphorical wall. But there's also a number of songs here that I already mentioned as a broader application as well. So even going with the socio-political context of the album, it is interesting that Roger Waters performed a charity concert back in 1990 after the fall of the Berlin Wall, and he performed it in Berlin at a site that was partly occupied by the wall. So the album ended up, even in later years, taking on a bit more of a significance in that context as well. And by extension, you could view this almost as like a protest album. But yeah, even when 2016, with Donald Trump being elected, part of his campaign was building the wall, which even makes this album even a bit more relevant in another context as well. So yeah, it's a powerful album on many different levels. It resonates on a personal level and also on a socio-political level. And as I already mentioned, a lot of the songs are just legitimate classics. I already mentioned many of them, but let's just go through some of the other songs there. Okay, in the Flash, there's a couple different versions of it, but that's the song that kind of helps sets the tone throughout the album. Goodbye, Blue Sky. That's a powerful song. Hey, you. To anybody out there. Yeah, it's a powerful song. But yeah, like I said, the entire album, there's not too many weaker songs, and even the songs, like I'm not necessarily as standalone tracks. I'm not into all the songs towards the end that kind of build around the trial because they're all a bit theatrical. But when you listen it in the context of the entire album, I think the songs are effective in what they are meant to do. So yes, there's a reason why this is considered one of the greatest concept albums of all time and one of the greatest rock operas of all time. Legitimate classic and an absolute easy 5 stars. So you can also let me know in the comments what you think about Pink Floyd The Wall. Is it one of your favorite albums? Do you think it's overrated? Does it belong in the book, 1001 albums you must hear before you die? You can let me know in the comments. You can let me know if you have a favorite track from the album. And if you want me to keep making this content, please like and subscribe. And you can also check out my website, Ongoing History of Protest Songs com. And as I mentioned, every day I discuss a different randomly generated album. So you can join me tomorrow as I discuss another one. And like I mentioned, most of the time, these are going to be 3 minute shorts. So you can also check out the curated playlist where you can get caught up on my previous random album reviews as well. So thanks for watching, and please stay safe.